Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Sempre Milan bonus podcast on Substack. The October international break has not been kind to Milan, with injuries aplenty. We are going to be taking a look at how it impacts the squad depth ahead of a crucial few games. Happy Friday, mate.
Woohoo, hip Friday, yay.
And there is a man who cannot wait for the weekend.
Yep, yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah. Madison's not ready.
Good God, this guy.
I'll tell you that.
So he set the time for this episode.
Mm-hmm.
He's the only one not here. And his reason this time is very novel. He lost his computer. Something that for most households is stationary, does not move. His vanished. And he doesn't know where it vanished to. So he says he hasn't used it in a few weeks, which is equally as baffling. And
about as long since he's been on the pod, so that makes sense.
Actually, yeah. Wow, when you put it that way. So yeah, he's not here. We're confused, but hey, the show goes on. Just like the squad, one of us is out with a weird injury, so to speak.
Yeah, and I'm. If my voice sounds bad, I am currently battling something after travels around Eastern Europe. But I shall. What we say? Venture on. What else was I going to say? Oh yeah, sometimes we get like emails, or we get tweets, or we get comments in the YouTube and stuff from people saying, if you're looking for someone else, I can step up and replace Madison." Like genuinely, a few people have said that, and Maddie is sometimes quite offended by that notion. They've got a point, mate. You've got to be here to defend yourself, and you're never here. So, but nah, all love. He'll be back on soon, I'm sure. As mentioned in the intro, not been nice, has it? This break, not been good for us.
No, I have no idea how we've ended up here with the amount of injuries that we've accumulated. Sorry, I really just got thrown off. I didn't know my fiance's home. The door's open. I just heard her. But keep talking. Yeah, we got a lot of injuries here. So,
yeah. All right. What I want to do is I want to go through the injuries. I'll try to do them chronologically, so as they happen during the international break, and the severity of each one. And then I think we talk about what it means and the overarching issue here, which is something that we sort of debated. I think we basically agreed on it, but it has been debated, the notion that our squad is too small and perhaps too streamlined to challenge for a title this year. And, unfortunately, the way that the point is proven is in the most negative sense. But we have 15 internationals called up over this most recent break. It's the most for a long time. We had 12 in the September break, so we're adding 3 more onto that. As we mentioned on the main pod, the vast majority, I think it's 11, were games in Europe, games for players in Europe, and then we had 4 that jetted off across the Atlantic. And yeah, we've had some issues. Pervis Estupiñán was the first one to suffer a problem for Ecuador. He came off with an ankle knock during their first game over the break. He has come back and he is not currently not in full training with the team, although the hope is that he will train with them this afternoon. We're recording on Friday, as mentioned, so by the time this goes out, we may know either way if Pervis is back with the team or not. Alexis Salamakers then suffers a bit of a muscle problem with the Belgian national team after their first game during the break, which was a 0-0 draw with North Macedonia, kind of complicated their qualifying path a little bit. He came back early, and it was feared that he was looking at a lengthy layoff because it was a muscular injury by nature. But as it turns out, he's returned to Milanello and seems to be doing a lot better. The hope is that he will rejoin full training today. So maybe 2 dodged bullets, because there's still problems, there's still physical issues, but they could have been a lot worse by the sounds of it. But then we move on to the stuff that's a lot more problematic. Christian Pulisic has an ankle problem, plays still a few minutes. What did he get? Did he get time off the bench in that first game?
Yeah, I think he played the last 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And I was confused by that. When we talked about it on the main pod this week or last week, whenever it was, when you told me that it was international break or whatever. Yeah, so that was a good sign, right? Like we assumed that meant he wasn't in as bad a shape as we had originally thought, because surely you wouldn't play an injured player, especially a star, for a friendly, a game that doesn't matter against Ecuador, which, no disrespect to Ecuador, but there's no relevance to that game. It's not a rivalry. It's not for anything. It's a friendly. So you threw him in there for whatever reason, and then you said he's fine, and he started the next game, and about 15 minutes in, pulls his hamstring.
Yep, not great, not good. It sounded like so. I want to speak a bit more specifically after I've done the roundup about why Milan as a club seem to be a bit aggrieved by the way that all this has gone down. But it seemed like he was getting lumps kicked out of him a bit by Australia in those first 40 minutes or whatever it was, and then something happens where he pulls up and points straight to his hamstring. Medical staff come on and a substitution's needed. And then not helped, late flight home. So didn't have a scan until today. Scan happened literally right before we started recording, and it's a minimum 3 weeks out. He's having another checkup in 10 days, but it's a low grade tear to the hamstring. So again, could have been better, but it perhaps could have been worse. I think there were some fears that it was a complete grade 3 tear, and then you're looking at sort of 6 to 8 weeks. So again, not a dodged bullet, because
he did walk off himself, which is a good sign.
Yeah. But Sky were already talking about it being a serious problem. And 3 weeks, if he does come back in 3-4 weeks, then we're going to have to find a way to cope with it. But like we know what the extent of that is now. We can move on. And then Adrien Rabiot, his was a strange one, because it was originally believed that he picked up a knock in the first game of France's 2 over the break, which was a 3-0 win over Azerbaijan. And he actually scored the second goal in that one. So, thinking what a success story for Rabiot. He's had a brilliant start to the season with us. He gets in the France starting 11, scores a header from an Mbappe cross, only going to help his confidence. But yeah, picked up a bit of a knock, and then played anyway during the next game against Iceland. There's actually a clip that's come out of him getting a massage at half time on his calf, and he looks to be grimacing in pain while this is going on. Still comes out and plays a bit more, and eventually comes off, returns to Milanello. We're hoping it's just a knock again, which can happen when this is something I didn't know actually until sort of doing pieces on injuries, is that sometimes you can get a kick, for example. You can get booted on the back of the leg or whatever, and you think it's just a blow to the calf, a bit of bruising, but actually that can develop into something. It can sort of, you get a hematoma, and then muscle fibers are further damaged and that kind of thing. So I think that's what's happened here. What was initially hoped to just be a bit sore, it's actually come out as also a calf tear. So we're looking at minimum a month out for him. Absolutely fantastic news. And I don't even know if you've seen this yet, Christopher Nkunku hasn't trained yet this week because he has a foot problem. Fucking hell.
Yeah. He also scored in that game.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was the other. I don't remember.
It was the Iceland game, the 3-3. Okay. It was a lovely goal as well. But I will say Sky is saying Nkunku could return to full training today, and it doesn't seem he's in doubt for Sunday against Fiorentina. But it's just another player that can't be at 100%.
Yeah, that's the frustration when Leao was sent home because he wasn't at 100, and we knew he wasn't at 100. He wasn't even playing much for us as is. And then Nkunku is not at 100. Pulisic's for sure out. And the only striker we now have is Santi Jimenez, who's in bad form. So that's not very promising for us. And when you look at those injuries, the 3 most serious ones being Pulisic, Rabiot, and Salmakers are arguably 3 of our most important players in this current phase of the season. So
not even arguably. They've probably arguably
inarguably.
I'm inarguably have been